Okay, let's talk about a situation that, honestly, so many of us have either faced or will face. You're at the hospital. A staff member hands you a form, and they tell you your loved one is stable and ready for discharge tomorrow. But everything in your gut is screaming, no, they are not ready. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a really powerful, federally protected right that can stop an unsafe discharge cold in its tracks. And this, right here, this is the heart of the problem, isn't it? You're looking at your parent or your spouse, and you see they're still weak, they're confused, they can't even get out of bed on their own. They're just not ready. Well, I'm here to tell you that your instinct is 100% correct. The medical term stable does not mean safe to go home. And understanding that difference, that's the first huge step in fighting for them. So, there you are, they hand you that piece of paper. It's called the Important Message from Medicare. It looks super official, right? It feels final. But what you probably don't realize is that the moment you sign that form acknowledging you received it, a hidden clock starts ticking down. And here is the one thing, the big secret, that most people have no idea about. That piece of paper is not an eviction notice. It is not a final decision. You are not powerless in this situation. It's just the hospital starting a process, and it's a process that you have the power to challenge. So it's really important to see this document for what it is. Think of it this way. The hospital's notice is just a proposal. It's their professional recommendation. But, and this is key, you have a federally protected right to ask for an immediate, independent review of that proposal. So what's this timeline we're talking about? From the second that paper is in your hands, that clock starts. You have until noon, that's 12 p.m., the very next day to make one phone call and file what's known as a fast appeal. Now that might sound scary and urgent, but it is totally manageable once you know that this deadline even exists. Okay, so the hospital doesn't get the final say, then who does? Well, it turns out there's a neutral third party, kind of like an independent referee, who can step in and take a look at the situation. Let's talk about who they are. This is the big question, right? I mean, it feels like you're going up against this huge hospital system. Who could you possibly call to get a fair, unbiased opinion? The answer, thankfully, is actually pretty simple. You call the QIO. That stands for Quality Improvement Organization. You can think of them as independent doctors who are contracted by Medicare. Their whole job, their only job, is to review the medical chart and decide if a discharge is actually safe and clinically the right move for the patient. And this is absolutely crucial to understand. The QIO is truly independent. They don't work for the hospital. They don't work for the insurance company. They have zero financial stake in whether the hospital needs to free up a bed or if the insurer wants to save money. Their one and only focus is patient safety. That makes them your most powerful ally in this whole process. All right, so now we know who to call and when to call. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How do you actually do it? How do you press the pause button on this whole discharge process? Believe it or not, it really is this simple. First, you look at that Important Message from Medicare form, and you find the phone number for the QIO. Second, you call that number before noon the next day. Third, you say these exact words, "I am requesting a fast appeal." And that's it. That one sentence sets the entire process in motion. The QIO then calls the hospital, and the hospital is now legally obligated to send over all the medical records for an independent review. The moment you make that call and request the appeal, you trigger something with a very powerful name, an automatic stay. It's a legal term, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It means the discharge process comes to a full and complete stop. So what does this automatic stay really do for you? Well, first, and this is the most important part, the hospital cannot legally make your loved one leave while this review is happening. Second, and this is huge, you cannot be billed for these extra hospital days. Medicare continues to pay. And third, the tables have completely turned. The burden of proof is no longer on you to prove it's unsafe. It's now on the hospital to prove to this independent doctor that the discharge is safe. So what are you buying with this one phone call? You're buying time, precious time. Typically, this review process gives the patient an extra 24 to 72 hours in the hospital under medical care. That is critical time to get medications right, to arrange for home health care, or to secure a bed in a rehab facility. Okay, so you've successfully hit the pause button. Now what? Well, the QIO is likely going to call you to hear your side of things. And what you say in this conversation is critical. So let's go over your playbook. Now, this is a really important mindset shift. I know this whole situation is incredibly stressful and emotional, but the reviewer you're talking to is a medical professional. They think in data. They speak the language of clinical facts. So as much as you want to, telling them how scared you are won't be as effective as giving them objective, factual reasons why this discharge is a bad idea.
So here's your cheat sheet. You're going to focus on 3 key areas. 1. Activities of daily living. Be specific. He cannot get up to use the toilet by himself. 2. Clinical instability. Again, be specific. They just changed his heart medication yesterday and his blood pressure is still fluctuating. And 3. Continuity of care. Point out the gaps. The special hospital bed we need for him at home has not been delivered yet.
And if you really want a power phrase that speaks their language, use this one. Stating that the discharge plan is not yet clinically secured is a professional, clear way of telling the reviewer that essential pieces for a safe transition just aren't in place. It's a real game changer. Now listen up, because this is especially important if your loved one has a Medicare Advantage plan. Sometimes the hospital or the insurance company might give you a little pushback. If anyone, a case manager, anyone, tries to talk you out of the appeal, you stay calm, you stay firm, and you say this exact phrase. It clearly signals that you know your federal rights, and it usually ends the conversation right there. So let's just pull back for a second and look at the big picture. Why does this whole process even exist? What's the ultimate goal? Because it's not about winning a fight against the hospital. The goal here is not conflict, it's all about prevention. You're not trying to argue with the doctors. You are using a system that's in place to prevent a dangerous situation in an avoidable hospital readmission. Because, one of the top reasons patients end up right back in the ER is because they were sent home too soon. When you boil it all down, the fast appeal is a tool that provides one incredibly valuable thing: time. And in healthcare, an extra day or 2 of professional care can be the difference between a safe recovery and a serious setback. That extra time is what reduces the risk. It's as simple as that. All right, let's do a super quick recap of the absolute essentials. Number 1, that discharge notice is just a proposal, not a command. 2, you have until noon the next day to make the call. 3, the QIO is your independent referee. 4, that one phone call puts an immediate pause on everything. And 5, when you make your case, use objective facts, not just feelings. So you did it. You successfully used the fast appeal to make sure the hospital discharge was safe. That's a huge victory, but the paperwork maze isn't over yet. What happens when it's time to arrange for rehab? Did you know that a single word, a single status classification in that hospital paperwork could potentially disqualify your loved one from getting Medicare to cover their stay in a rehab facility? We're going to tackle that in our next explainer. But for now, do yourself a favor. Find that QIO number on the Medicare website and save it in your phone. You just never know when you'll need to be a hero.